What is up, 5-0 fam? Chrisless here, and I have a quick favor I need to ask of you today before we start the show. If you have 60 seconds to spare, 59 seconds, 40 seconds to spare, please go right now to 5oclockhustle.com/iTunes and leave us a quick little review, some nice words, even if you want to, if there's some different types of content that you want to hear from us, be honest. Like, tell us what you need, tell us what you want from the show. We're trying to create content that you will love and enjoy for a very long time, and your feedback is incredibly useful to us. Not only does it help support our show, it helps us curate the content just for you guys and give you just what you want. So go right now to 5oclockhustle.com/iTunes, and remember that's with a number 5, and leave us a review. I would appreciate it so much. We read every single one, and we appreciate everyone that already has, and if you haven't, just go hop over and do it right now. All right, on with the show.
5 o'clock hustle.
5 o'clock hustle, bro.
5 o'clock.
5 to 8, 5 to 12, 5 to 3 until you get back up the next morning.
Every week I got a new idea.
And that's what it always is, right? It's crazy.
5 o'clock.
I was doing that in 2005, but everybody thought it was weird.
5 o'clock.
Thus, the side hustle was created.
5 o'clock hustle podcast.
Man, they're having so much fun.
What is up, 5-0 fam? Welcome back to another episode of the 5 O'Clock Hustle podcast. This is episode number 35, and I just have to say up front, I'm so sorry for the last couple of weeks for everyone who's hopped aboard the 5-0 train. We kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but there's some good reasoning behind it, and during the Squadcast next episode, we're going to tell you all about it. We got some really cool announcements to make. We're not just slacking off. We're actually building some really neat things, and we're really excited to share them with you. But for today, we have another amazing episode for you with Denise Biderman. And Denise is the founder of Mary's List, which is an online community for people looking to get hired as a freelancer, or even companies looking to hire freelancers, but this is for the marijuana industry. And we met her through one of our previous guests, Sasha Perelman, and I'm so glad she connected us because it was a great conversation. Such an amazing journey from Denise, who went from an attorney to having this amazing idea of creating this community for people in this growing industry, this very controversial industry, and she has an amazing story to share with you today, and I'm so pumped for you to hear it. Okay, let's just get this thing started. And Dre, if you could please, sir, start the show. Welcome, Denise Biderman, to the 5 O'Clock Hustle podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been kind of fun seeing all the people that's come through the pipeline through our previous guest, Sasha Perelman, and I'm glad she connected us because I'm really excited to talk about what you're up to. So how are you today, Denise?
I'm doing really, really great. Just hustling.
Just hustling. Well, Dean has a question for you, something that we're starting to ask all of our guests. So, Dean, why don't you run away with that?
We should have told you we were going to ask you that. That's true. So, one thing that's interesting is that when people come on our podcast, they have a kind of this predetermined notion of what they're going to experience and what this is all about. So, when you hear the term 5 o'clock hustle, what comes to mind?
Someone who's got a 9-to-5 day job and has got a hustle on the side that they're trying to make their dreams become a reality.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have said it better ourselves. That's the audience we look at. I mean, what do you think, like, at a high level, what would be some of the challenges? And we're going to get into your own story in a second, but what have you experienced to be some of the main challenges of having a 5 o'clock hustle?
Making money from that after 5 o'clock work job,
You could put plenty of resources, but not necessarily the money that comes along right with it.
So
yeah, you've got the heart and you've got what you want to do, but it just takes a little bit longer because it's not your main from 9 to 5,
Sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us today, we have Denise Biderman. She is launching a brand new website and business called Mary's List, and you can find that you can find their landing page at maryslist.co.
C-O, no M.
And we're so excited to dive into this because this is this space, which is, and I'm going to let you explain it. Really, it's a very interesting because it's kind of in a gray area when it comes to basically everything about it. So
It's kind of in a green area.
It's in a there you go. So Denise, why don't you give us a little breakdown of what Mary's List is for our listeners?
Absolutely. It is a freelancer and service provider marketplace specifically tailored to the cannabis and hemp communities here in the States and abroad.
That's awesome. And so is it kind of like the cannabis version of like Angie's List?
It's more like Upwork, where an employer can post the project and a freelancer can then be chosen to be awarded the project.
Okay, cool. So, okay, that's good to have an understanding. So when we dive, so let's dive back a little bit. So tell us kind of where you started, not necessarily with cannabis, but you started in your career. You started as an attorney, is that right?
That is correct. I have been a licensed attorney in New York for 9 years. I practiced criminal law for many of those years. I was a court attorney for a judge in the appellate division in Brooklyn. I worked as a court attorney in Manhattan Supreme Criminal terms, meaning that I sat on the bench while we handled all the hearings and trials. I wrote decisions for the judge. We also handled Manhattan Mental Health Court on Fridays. So I was really, really grateful and lucky to participate in that. I'd wanted to become a judge, and so I thought that to do that, I had to leave working for a judge and actually practice on the other side as as a litigator. And so I did some work with insurance firms. I did work for a civil rights firm and criminal defense law. And then I got a call from the district attorney's office asking if I'd wanted to do work for them. So I accepted it. I was doing appellate work for them, and I really thought that I was going to go in and, change the system from the inside, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah. So is that what, I mean, that's and this is a really important piece for all of our listeners and for you and for us too, obviously, is, your driving force. It's your what, your why, your the constant motivator that's going to keep pushing you through this journey and over obstacles and really lead you to success. So for you, it was just the inability to affect positive change in the way that you thought you could. Is that right?
I'd say so. And around the same time, I needed to get knee surgery. It was my fourth knee surgery. I'd practiced Taekwondo since I was a really little kid. And
so did Chris, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
That's awesome.
It took up a good chunk of my childhood.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I lived when I was younger. I lived in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center on and off. And,
oh wow,
that's awesome.
At Olympic trials, my knees were swept out. I broke both my kneecaps, and so.
Oh my God.
When I was deciding to leave the DA's office, and also had to get this knee surgery, I was kind of in like a life crisis. What do I do with my life? And a very important part of that was, well, how do I fix my health and what's happening? And I knew I didn't want to take any painkillers because they're lethal and really addictive. And so I opted for a cannabis pain cream instead. And I did not take a single pain pill after the morphine drip that they gave me at the hospital.
Wow.
And, I spent 8 hours a day for 2 months on my couch with a machine that bent and straightened my knee. 8 hours a day, just bending and straightening it. And I thought to myself, I said, instead of doing what I think I'm supposed to do, which was always my driving force, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to get this job, I'm supposed to whatever, I was like, well, what do I really want to do? And how do I really want to affect change and help people? And I saw this opportunity because I experienced it myself and the healing properties of cannabis. And I had used cannabis for much longer than my knee surgery, but that's when it really hit me that this was the time and this was the moment, and I could do something super positive with my background and my experience and help perpetuate and move forward this beautiful industry that I'm now a part of.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. It's interesting because it's such a polarizing topic. The idea of something where it's considered it still is by a lot of people something that's just not accepted. It's not accepted by a lot
federally for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like at the top of this, like it's a huge gray area for a lot of people. So my question to you is how did people in your personal life react to your choice of going a less than, I guess, not a typical way of handling your pain and handling that whole process?
Everyone in my life was really, really supportive. I think that since they've known me growing up, they've always known that I'm going to do what I want. And if they don't support it, well, I can't help that. So
sure.
It was awesome. Even my mom was so supportive. She's my best friend, and she started reading more and more about cannabis and things that were helping people with Alzheimer's and epilepsy. And she became my number one fan and my number one advocate and pushed me to keep doing this every day.
Yeah, and a strong support system is so critical from a recovery standpoint and definitely a business standpoint. A lot of people aren't so lucky to have a support system for those kind of things, especially in the business world, because everybody that is just in that typical 9-to-5 job, everybody's conforming to this idea of work and not really finding their why and pursuing the things that they really care about. So it's so awesome that you were able to have a community already kind of built in for you, ready to support you. So how did that
Absolutely.
How did that lead you into exploring the idea of having a business in the cannabis world?
So I started doing some consulting work here in New York for friends who were looking to launch edibles products or maybe wanting to get up to Massachusetts and work on licensing applications. And I thought to myself, if I really want to know what this industry is, I want to go to a mature market and I got to get out of New York. So I went to this seminar for cannabis attorneys basically in Colorado, and I met several attorneys out there. And when I came back to New York, I emailed every single one of them. I made sure that I could get at least a coffee meeting with one. I got the coffee meeting with one. I packed my bags, and my boyfriend and I moved out to Denver the day before.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was in Colorado for 6 months, and, that coffee meeting, I met with, every person that I could in cannabis when I was there, whether I could get them on the phone or I could meet them for coffee. But that first meeting really, really helped me out and put me in front of the right people. I got an awesome job doing consulting work for a consulting firm in Denver. And while I was in Denver, I was super, super sick from the altitude, really low oxygen levels. I developed 2 autoimmune issues. I was like gray. And so then I had to leave. And it was really hard because I'd uprooted my life and my support system, and here I am in Denver with nothing and just my boyfriend, and, we got to go. So while I'm working for this consulting firm, I'm seeing, how much money it costs to use the consulting firm, but also how much money it costs to hire other employees that could maybe be a freelancer to do work. So I'm already thinking at this point, and now I'm heading further west. I'm going out to California because I still want to be in cannabis. I want to know what's going on. And so I'm trying to put my freelancer profile up on various different websites, and it's getting flagged because it says weed, it says cannabis. And I'm like, you know what? I think there's something here. And I remember the moment that I was sitting in the parking lot of a mall looking at my boyfriend, and I said, there's Angie's List and there's Craigslist. Why isn't there a Mary's List? And that was it.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so much fun to have those moments as an entrepreneur where you finally get that one idea.
We had the moment earlier, right before actually we got on with you. We can't spoil what it was about because it's going to be something that we're building out now. But it's just so neat when you like you kind of open yourself up to the universe, especially in an entrepreneurial sense, and just kind of let your ideas run wild. And especially when you have someone to kind of share those kind of experiences with, and you're comfortable enough throwing random stuff out there and seeing what sticks. It's neat. It's such a fun experience.
Definitely.
Totally. I totally agree.
It's kind of like it's where the business person meets the artist, like it takes those entrepreneurs to find those little moments, those little fragments of space and time to see those little pieces that are going to just blow up. So, let's
hold on one second.
Yeah.
Do you know, Denise, do you know Dean Rocco?
I do not.
Oh, okay. He's one of the, he's well connected in the cannabis industry as a partner at one of the leading cannabis law firms. So I'm just wondering because
cool. I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, okay, cool. No worries. Figured we'd always like seeing if I know someone. But anyway, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but that's okay. It's a podcast. It's a free-flowing conversation.
Hey, I'll keep going then. So, okay, so you're in this, and you have this great idea of Mary's List, and then how does it build into this community that's breaking down barriers to entry? Like, how does that kind of come about?
There's a need for people to feel supported in this industry, right? Mm-hmm. There's nowhere for people to really go to say, I need a lawyer that I can trust. I need an accountant I can trust. I need a web developer I can trust. It's all word of mouth. Everybody knows a guy, old school, but there's no specific hub for that, right? Mm-hmm. And there's also this problem of big money coming in and pushing people out that have been doing it for 20, 30 years because doing it and growing weed for 20, 30 years don't have the funds or perhaps the business expertise. A lot of do, but there are a lot that don't. And it's really, really hard to watch that because we're talking about something much bigger than a commodity. We're talking about a medicine that truly can heal people. Mm-hmm. And I think I hope that that's where Mary's List can kind of resolve that because there are maybe attorneys who are willing to do something on a project basis as opposed to being on retainer for $10,000 a month. Or there's a graphic designer who can help you design your logo because it's just that simple to just design a logo for someone. And that's how I'm really trying to build communities because I think that we can also bring people from other industries in who have been freelancing for 20, 30 years, but don't really know how to get involved in the cannabis space. We give them an opportunity to also dip their toes in and see if they like it, because that opens their mind and their understanding and perhaps their acceptance to cannabis and so on and so forth. I mean, that's my vision.
So what do you think in terms of your targeted user base? What do you think is the biggest challenge those people have finding jobs in their industry?
The biggest challenge is that it's still taboo and that people aren't really willing to open themselves up to say that this is the work that they're doing. In that vein, we've created kind of you have to unlock people's contact information because that way we can protect people from feeling like they're being persecuted or prosecuted for wanting to do work in this space.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Wow.
Thanks.
So let me add on to that. What has been your biggest challenge for starting a business in this space?
Payment processing and banking.
Yep.
Without a doubt, it took me about 9.5 months to get one bank account with a bank that actually they know what I'm doing. And we're an ancillary tech company. We don't touch the plant. And even that alone, we went through 3 payment processors before we've even launched.
Wow.
So and I'm familiar with this issue very closely just based on my work in the industry. And, you are better than a lot of people that just lie like that. There are a lot of cannabis companies out there that just say, oh, we're just a third party consulting firm. And we happen to be doing the financial collections on behalf of a few different storefronts, and boom, done. And you find a bank that doesn't ask a lot of questions or whatever it is. And, that it's one way to do it. I don't think it's the right way to do it by any means. So it sounds like you've been much more upfront with, the role that you play, which is neat. It's respectable.
I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to create something really legitimate. I mean, we're offering payment processing through the site where freelancers can get paid for their projects. This is not something that's really been heard of because people lie to Stripe and lie to PayPal. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to create something real that can show other people that aren't involved in cannabis that we're also business people too, that we are legitimate and we're doing awesome work.
Do you ever speak live, at conferences or anything?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I've never spoken live.
You should. you have such a good, strong passion about you, and you can tell that you're really excited about what you're doing, and it even comes through through a microphone. So it would be really cool. Feel free to explore that if you ever like to. I'm just saying because I get excited listening to you, just because of how passionate you are. So don't leave anything out, especially when you're trying to change the perception of an industry. Make sure that you conquer some of your personal uncomfortabilities too.
I appreciate that. I have the biggest smile on my face
good.
now. Thank you.
Good. You should. We're all smiling together, so that's perfect.
Cool. Awesome.
So we talk about the challenge from a, I'll put it this way. How hard has it been to establish a base of providers and a base of customers without actually having yet launched the product? And I ask this because that is one of the most difficult things for entrepreneurs in our space to be able to do, especially when you're using it as a side hustle. It's very hard to get people to buy in to an idea versus a product. So how hard has that been, and how have you how have you been successful so far?
That is actually one of the most difficult times I'm having right now, aside from the banking and payment processing. And people even ask me, they're like, well, how's it going? I'm like, well, no one wants to sign up for a site that they can't see. It's just a landing page. And I get that because I want to see a product,
Yeah.
But it takes a long time to develop something. I just launched our Instagram about a month ago, and I'm already up to 700 followers, which I hear is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not completely technically advanced to the fact that I'm even launching this website is mind-blowing to many people that know me.
Right.
But I'm just trying to kind of hack into it and figure out, it's not figuring it out. It's just showing what I'm passionate about and what I'm trying to do, which is ultimately help people get jobs in some industry that is so awesome. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that is what continues to perpetuate us forward. I mean, we're going to have a booth at the Marijuana Business Conference in Las Vegas in November. Mm-hmm. That was my ultimate goal when I started this project. And we did it. And we've got a 6 spot, and there are 50,000 people that go to that conference. So I'm really hoping that the signing page will blow up.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And have a nice little landing page for them just to jump right onto. And I mean, have you looked at any people, any companies that have been successful in doing that and try to model off them? I know I was originally going to, a while back, I guess, I wanted to do something called DI2. It was kind of a play on DIY, like do it yourself, but it was do it together. And it actually ended up, when I was researching it, there was this little company at the time called TAKL, TAKL. Mm-hmm. And now we hear about TAKL on the radio more than I would ever like to. But they did really good at that. But one of the things, it's the same struggle. That you're trying to build out the providers, and you're trying to tell them they're going to have the volume. It's worth their investment to jump into this program, even though it doesn't really cost them anything except for a little bit of time. And then you have the clients. You're like, trust me, there's going to be enough service providers. It's going to be amazing. They're going to be reviewed, and they're going to be great, and they're going to do exactly what you need. But you don't have either. So have you ever reached out to a company in a specific situation and kind of seen how they did it successfully?
That is specifically on my to-do list this week.
Nice.
So it is brilliant that you brought that up. I appreciate it. That's also another hard thing. It's a hard blow to feel like you can't get people to understand where you're coming from, and that like Beyonce wasn't built in a day, but Beyonce wasn't built in a day. Time to build this network, and we vet everyone. We look at their profiles. There's a review system on there. It's a process, because the best things in life sometimes come slowly and are a slow build.
Yeah. I will say I pay attention closely to. I mean, it's one of the prevalent models these days is connecting people in an on-demand fashion with a service provider, and not quite the same thing, but like even the dog walking app, WAG. If you think about that, there was this. They all these apps, all these services are facing the same challenges in the fact that they need to convince both sides at the same time that they're going to get what they need out of your platform. Right. But that being said, there are a ton of businesses that have done it successfully. So hopefully you have some good luck reaching out to people that have done that. And, we'll definitely look through our networks. And if we can come up with anyone that we know that has done something in that arena successfully, then we'll do our best to connect you. I can think of a few people actually, right off the top of Chris and I are kind of smiling at each other because we have a few people that we can think of that should be helpful in that.
I would really, really, really appreciate that and be forever grateful. So thank you.
That's what it's all about.
So let's direct this back a little bit towards the industry itself. I'm curious to see how have you leveraged your background in law to help you with your new business.
Well, I started consulting as a technical writer, basically writing out applications for licensing for dispensaries, cultivation sites, and using the fact that I'm an excellent researcher and writer to my advantage to help people get those licensing applications in and do them correctly and do them right.
They're so expensive. Oh my God.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, they're nuts. What states have you written out licensing for?
I've done stuff for Colorado, for California. I've done some stuff in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Canada, Michigan, Maryland.
Nice.
I started doing some work in Florida and a little bit of work in Puerto Rico.
So, let's take someone that is just like you, Denise, and that is in the same place and that has this expertise. What's driving them to join Mary's List?
They just want to get involved in cannabis. I mean, that was my driving force. And so that's why I would have joined Mary's List, because I would be like, well, here's a way I can start figuring out how my skills are applicable to something that I love. And so I would just encourage anyone with the same skill set or whatever their skill set is, figure out what you are really passionate about and do that.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, and for me, if I think about it, because I'm not super passionate about the cannabis industry, to be honest with you. Like, I think it's great. In fact, my dad uses a lot of different, cannabis connected products, and it's some of the most helpful stuff that he's used. I mean, and save for like morphine. So it's, it is incredibly helpful in a number of ways, but it's just not something I'm necessarily passionate about. But being, with a business background, for me, if I were a service provider and I was jumping onto a Mary's List, I mean, you're gaining access to people that are passionate about this industry. Like you are up in front of people. And the thing with the industry as it stands right now is everyone's uncomfortable. And that's just a reality based on, like Chris said, the gray area that is the industry. It's in this rapid growth phase, but it's still kind of undecided about certain legalities, and like you said, the money side is weird, and what you can and can't do, and all that stuff. So it creates kind of this discomfort. But then you have this wonderful site called Mary's List that is going to put trusted people out there in front of you and connect you to them. So you can kind of, you know that you're within a community of people that you can be comfortable with, and it eases the entire process for someone. And so, I mean, for me, having, I'm a paralegal actually, and I used to do a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have done as a paralegal, and I should have been an attorney for. But, but for me, if I were to jump on that site, that's a huge thing. It is access to customers where you have a pool of people who specifically need whatever it is you're doing. Whereas usually it's not that niche, and it's a little harder to get in touch with the right person and a good person. So yeah, I think it's a huge benefit.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I appreciate you saying that. And I think that it also empowers people to be in business for themselves and take control of their work life and, maybe skip out on that 9 to 5 and change it to whatever they want to do with their time.
Yeah. It's either this or Uber, right? So,
so as we near the we're getting towards the end here. We have a little bit more time, but I kind of want to dive a little bit more into what you see Mary's List in the next few years. Like you're in such an incredible phase right now of just building your community and launching the site. But what is your target for, let's say, just say 2 years from now?
Oh my God, I just want to have a working site with people on it.
That's awesome. But like, what I'm trying to get at more is like, what is the vision for you?
My heart is so in it for help people that I just want to see as many people as they can get jobs in the space that they want to be in. And I don't want it to just be in the U.S. I really want to see it go international, because I think there are people in other countries who would absolutely love to do work like this, but don't know how. Take, for example, my developer. He's based out of India, and he'd love to be in the cannabis space, but first of all, how's anyone going to find him, unless it's word of mouth, and so on and so forth. And I think that there is a really big untapped community of people who can really help outside of the U.S. and who have differing opinions of what cannabis is and what it is for their community and their history, and so I would really like to see it go international. I think that would be awesome.
That's really awesome. Now that leads me to ask you, what has been your experience using developers and starting a business that way? Because there's a lot of people who have a great app idea or a great idea for an online service, but none of them really are brave enough to go and enter that space because they have such little knowledge of actually doing it. So what has been your experience? What was that process like in the beginning?
I think naturally, by nature, I'm inquisitive and want to understand everything that I'm doing. And so I did so much research, tested so many different applications, and, I speak to my developers every single day. And
how did you find your developers?
Through a friend. Okay. Through my very, very best friend in the whole world. And he's used them, and I trust him. And so I said, this is it. And cool. I knew that they were going to do what I wanted, because it would also be so awesome for their company to build out this custom site that has dispute management on it, has invoicing, has a chat feature, like so many different cool things from a development standpoint that could really show off their professional resume as well.
Wow, it's incredible. So you kind of found a working relationship with your developer that, could benefit the both of you.
Totally.
That's really cool.
Fantastic.
I rarely hear that portion of actually helping the person that's helping you when it comes to outsourcing. That's I think that's a really good takeaway for a lot of people, is to, especially when people are bootstrapping their businesses and they don't have a whole lot of capital to kind of drive the the initial push of their business. It's really interesting to hear someone who is thinking about the other side and offering value in different ways. So that's actually really cool.
Yeah, no, that's the point of a partnership, I think, and that's That's it's great that it's something you've captured. And I'm curious. So Chris asked you what Mary's List would look like in a couple years. We had a really cool conversation with a new friend of ours, Omari Harabin. I believe it was last week. And one of the things he talked about was your perfect ideal day. So we asked you what your business looks like in 2 years. What does your perfect ideal day look like in 2 years?
Does my perfect ideal day involve work, or is this like a day off?
That's such a good question. That is such a good question, and you are the owner of the answer.
Okay, I think I'm going to take a day off for my perfect ideal day, just because I won't actually really take a day off. It'll just mean that I worked out in the morning, took a couple of calls, took an afternoon where I could just walk around whatever city I'm in, take a more couple calls in the afternoon, and then have a fabulous dinner with friends aboard a yacht somewhere off the coast of Mykonos.
I had this discussion with my wife Sandra the other day, and I was like, there's a fine line between your perfect day and your fantasy day.
See, but I think,
but you know what?
That was a lot of practicality.
There absolutely is. And
one of the reasons I like to bring it up too is because you want to make sure. It's interesting. I've never actually asked this before, but it aligns really well with what you are doing and kind of what you say your long-term goals are. So it's cool to ask that, and especially when we hear the feedback is something that would seem to make sense with your trajectory. So
yeah, absolutely, because knowing what you want your lifestyle to be, and I think we might have touched on this before. Knowing what it is ahead of the time where you're going to actually go and implement the steps that it takes to get there, especially in a certain period of time. That's an important thing for any 5 o'clock hustler to think about. If you want to, if you just want to have a couple extra bucks to, pay for, the fight on pay-per-view or something versus, having dinner on a yacht. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to find something. or people, who want to have dinner on a yacht with their friends,
or just go out to like Black Angus,
what are the steps that it takes to get to that place that you want to be? So it's really interesting. Yeah.
And also building out the role. Not only, I think it definitely affects the industry that you want to be a part of. But it also affects the role that you see yourself playing in your company and how you need to build an infrastructure that's going to support that role. So it's really
totally,
telling, but it's cool. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. Well, I'm also really lucky and spoiled because my very best friend in the whole world is like one of the most fabulous travel agencies. And so I've grown up with him being able to take me around the world. And so Mykonos is his happy place, and it's really become mine too. And so I just want to be there with him because he's working all day, and he's like the one guy I want to hang out with doing the same thing,
That's so cool. That's so much fun.
Does he have a yacht already?
Yeah. What's that?
I said, does he have a yacht already? Like, is the yacht ready to go?
He likes to just rent them out.
Oh, okay. Just a slow Tuesday rent a yacht.
So we're talking about some of your friends. How did you meet Sasha Perelman?
So I was living in Denver, and I was trying to find a fabulous chic cannabis party and could not find what I was looking for. So I just typed into Google chic cannabis party California, because I figured there had to be something going on over there. And her Rolling Stone article pops up. And so I'm reading the Rolling Stone article, and I look up like something about one of the companies, and my boyfriend actually goes onto Facebook, and he's like, Denise, they're doing a party here in Denver. And I'm like, what? He's like, they're doing a party here in Denver. We're going to go. It's Valentine's Day. We're going to go. I'm like, okay, awesome. So he gets us the tickets, and I asked him to connect me with Sasha. I was like, well, I want to connect with this woman. I want to tell her, like, I'm a resource here, whatever you need, like, I'll run around Denver. I've just been waiting for you to come here and throw this party. And so we schedule a call, and we ended up being on the phone for like 2.5 to 3 hours and just fell in love over the phone. And then she came to Denver for the party, and that was it. We were just like, we'd hit it off before that, but it was instantly like family. Like, she was my sister.
Oh, that's so cute. No, that's so nice. Sasha was for our listeners. We interviewed Sasha Perelman, who we met at another event at HustleCon a couple of months ago, and we had her on as a guest. I think episode 32, something along those lines. But everybody, go and check out that episode. Sasha was a delight. You're gonna love, if you love this conversation, you're gonna love the conversation with Sasha.
Yeah, but then we can all fall in love with her just like you did. Yeah.
Taylor and I actually brought Sasha to HustleCon.
No way.
So Taylor used to be the head of PR for Grasshopper, and he was one of the first sponsors, one of the first ever HustleCons. And so when Sam put up a post on Facebook saying, listen, I have these 3 extra tickets, whoever gives me the best story will win the tickets, Taylor posted our story, told him what we were doing. Boom, we won 3 tickets. Of course, I invited Sasha, and we brought her up to HustleCon.
Well, I don't know if you were playing skee ball that day, but we were kind of holding it down for a couple of minutes after all the speakers were finished.
I walked in right as you guys were leaving, actually.
Oh, okay.
Good. At our strongest point, for sure. Yeah.
It was a great event, and we were so lucky to run into Sasha. And otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to speak with you.
Totally.
I want to, and I need a second to pull this up. But I was on Instagram today, and I was contacted by one of her followers, and she's an entrepreneur in the cannabis industry, and she's trying to bring content and things of that sort. But she does have she's been struggling because, like, it's hard starting a business in that space. What happened in her case? Basically, she started this business, and she was running out of energy. I don't whether or not it was because it was just hard starting a business, which I'm sure you are. You're dealing with your own. You get it. You're starting your own thing. It's hard to do, but she's running out of steam, and she's running out of capital. Yeah, exactly. She's running out of ways to monetize her content-based cannabis industry. Do you have any suggestions for someone who's trying to use content as a source of income in the cannabis space?
I don't know much I could say about that. I wish I had more information, and I wish I could provide her with an outlet and a place to put her content. I mean, that's a really tough struggle to be in, and it's the state of the industry, and I totally get it. I wish that Mary's list was up and I could already hook her up with like 3-4 people, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't, I'm sorry.
So with that response, like, how are you dealing with the biggest struggle, like the biggest struggles for you? I know you said, dealing with the banking and stuff, but like, there's got to be with the struggle, there's a little bit of, emotional ties to some of those things. Have you felt anything that's really been taxing on you, not necessarily from a being able to implement your business standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint?
Oh, totally. I mean, there are days where I wake up where I'm like, why? Why am I doing this? And, it passes after maybe an hour or two. But being in Colorado and California was really hard. Like I said, my support system is really everything to me, and they're what pushed me forward. And being out there was lonely, but it also gave me an opportunity, right? I left New York with an idea. I came back with a business, and that was really cool. But there are days that, man, I'm exhausted. But I just keep thinking about the reason why I'm doing it, and that really pushes me forward no matter what. Yeah.
And do you have... how do you keep reminding yourself about that reason? Like, do you use any kind of, memory mechanisms or writings on the wall or anything like that?
Sometimes I just smoke a joint, honestly.
There you go.
Yeah. You're like, somehow I remember and I forget why I'm doing this.
Maybe that's what it is. You just got to forget why you're not doing it.
Exactly. Other than that, like, I just start trying to talk to people and engage people that I always try to make appointments over the phone with people that reach out to me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And that really motivates me, because I have real humans talking to me about what they need. It's not this like theoretical thing that's going on. And those conversations just make me keep going. And on days where I don't have that, I don't know what it is. I guess I've trained myself because I've had this issue before in my past working life. I've trained myself to reach out for help and, reach out to other entrepreneurs, other women, other people who are doing the same thing I'm doing in the sense that they're launching a business, and just try to put everything into perspective and be realistic and not put so much pressure on myself. I think it's hard, to admit that sometimes you need help because you feel like you're alone, but you're not alone. There's a lot of people who want to talk to you and willing to help.
Yeah, and I think as long as you hold true to the reason that you're doing something, as opposed to you being the person that is just doing it. Like, so, I guess what I mean to say, so I've been in sales for a long time, and I'm in sales because I like to affect positive change for organizations. That's why I do consulting. That's why I do sales. That's why I do whatever. I'm trying to connect someone with something that they need that will make their situation better. It is the moment when I say to myself, I'm a salesperson, how do I get better at sales, that I start not enjoying what I'm doing. But when I hold true to the reason I'm doing it and think to myself, I'm not a salesman, I'm a connector of people that's trying to be positive and trying to encourage positivity, I re-enjoy it. So I think it's really important to really, hold on to the reason you're doing something and really make it what you're doing. It doesn't need to be the practical definition of what you're doing that is your role. It really needs to be the reason you're doing it is really your role. It's what you're facilitating, and that's what you're sharing with the world. So, I think it's great that you approach it that way too. You're not just a founder, you're not just a CEO or an officer of a company. You're not just creating a website. You are opening up this community to help people gain access to not only jobs, but just something that in your heart is important to them and to our society. So that's really great.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Denise, we're getting here towards our time. So is there anything that you want to bestow upon our audience?
Nice.
It could be like a little piece of wisdom that you've always carried with you that drives you on. It could be something for, the cannabis community to keep them going, to give them hope for, finding business and the things that they do. Literally anything that you want to say. Here's your chance. Boom.
Ooh, that's like heavy because there's so many things I want to say that I can't remember anything, I'm just, first of all, really grateful for this opportunity. I never in my life thought that something like this would happen to me. So thank you. The recognition feels weird and awesome at the same time. When you're having a bad day, just close the computer or whatever, take a minute, take a breath, take a walk, go talk to someone. It's all good. It's all going to be all right. Like, everything's going to be cool. And I am here to support anyone who needs anything. It doesn't matter whether it's in my industry or just someone to talk to. Like, I really, really believe in being vulnerable and opening up communication. I think it's so important, and I wish we did more of it. So please feel free to reach out. I'm so happy to listen.
That's awesome. And we're really excited to follow you, and follow your career and follow the success of Mary's List. And obviously we're the same way. We want to do whatever we can to help you in that journey. And our listeners too, they know that, they hear it from us all the time. So, with you, Denise, would love to, find other ways to work with you and just partner up and make sure that you're as successful as is humanly and otherwise possible. So, we're here for you, and we really do appreciate your time. And as you told our listeners, which we appreciate, guys, girls, reach out. Everyone reach out to Denise. She's a wealth of knowledge. She's going through what you're going through. She's been through some of the stuff that you're going to be going through. MarysList.co.
Yes, and where else can people find you? You said you had an Instagram. Where should everybody reach out?
Yeah, for sure. Our Instagram handle is maryslist.co to kind of make it consistent.
Oh.
We're on Twitter. We just launched that like a week ago. That's maryslist_co. And you can always just say hi. We're hi, H-I, at maryslist.co. Send us an email. Say hello.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
We're high at Mary's List.
Isn't that perfect? That was the point.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another episode of the 5 O'Clock Hustle podcast. All of the links and everything that Denise mentioned is going to be in the show notes, so just check them out if you need any references there. Denise, thank you so much for talking with us today. It was such a fun time. It's such a curious space, like I said, like it's such a new world for so many people, and I'm glad you're one of the people leading the charge.
That's right.
So again, everyone, this was the 5 O'Clock Hustle podcast. Remember, you can always follow us too on Instagram at 5 O'Clock Hustle with the number 5, and go to our website, 5o'clockhustle.com, and you can subscribe to our website. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time, and keep hustling. Hello again, guys. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Denise Biderman. What an incredible journey she's gone on from being a criminal attorney to having the idea to launch this cannabis-based community. I'm so excited to follow her journey, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation just as much as I did. So I hope you go right now to maryslist.co and sign up and get all the updates for everything that she's preparing for you guys. And I hope you take her up on her offer of, reaching out to her if you have any questions or you're looking to get involved in the cannabis industry. She reached out her hand, and it's up to you to take that offer. Remember, being an entrepreneur is all about action. Okay, if you listen this far, then you qualify for my special present. No, but seriously, I've been working really hard on this book that I've told you guys about a few times called The Hero's Journey to Success. Well, before I launched that, I wanted to give you guys some value even sooner. And that's through a workbook that I call The Hero's Journal, which is a daily guided journal that takes you through the hero's journey to success so you can reach your number one goal in 90 days. This journal includes the step-by-step process of how you'll determine what your goal really is and developing a network of people that are going to help you get there, as well as a process that will help you find out what kind of hero you are and determine the strengths you possess, as well as the weaknesses you'll overcome during these 90 days. I hope everybody takes the opportunity right now to download this free PDF before the launch of the hard copy and start your hero's journey to success today. So how can you get it? You go to myheroesjournal.com and you sign up, and you'll get the first 7 days, and then I'll keep leaking the pages slowly to you so you don't get overwhelmed. But rest assured, in 90 days, you will have realized your number one goal. Okay, again, that was myheroesjournal.com, myheroesjournal.com, myheroesjournal.com. Everybody go grab your copy. So pumped for you to be a part of this 5 O'Clock Hustle community, and I'm so excited for you to join my Heroes Allegiance. Okay, keep hustling, everybody, and see you next time.